Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I have another video for you on why self-love is such a paradox. And now, I know I have talked at length about this whole self-love journey and what it really looks like and what it really takes and how it's different from the self-improvement path and all of these things. However, I feel like because this path and this way of thinking and this way of being and this way of viewing the world is so fundamentally diametrically opposed to how the rest of the world functions, there literally can't be enough videos of different ways of saying the same thing, essentially, because it is so easy to fall into the self-improvement, the I'm not good enough, the way of thinking and apply it to your self-love path and think that you're on the self-love path when you're still actually on the self-improvement path. And I've said this many, many times before, and I'll say it again. The self-love path and the self-improvement path are two different paths, and they never intersect. Meaning, so long as you are trying to fix something about yourself that you perceive to be broken, you're never going to find self-love. And the reason this is such a paradox and the reason this is such a hard thing for us to wrap our minds around is because we don't really understand what we're doing when we're on the self-improvement path, and we don't understand how letting go of trying to become the person we think we need to be in order to be deserving of love and loving who we are right now is going to help us. Okay, so this is how I want to explain that this truly is, again, like, this is such a huge mind bender. Okay, the self-love path is a massive mind fuck, and so I really, again, I just kind of want to say it in this way that's slightly different than how I've said it before, with a specific example of what this looks like to show you where you might not be on the path the way that you think that you are and why that's hindering you. Okay, so again, remembering that the self-improvement path is any path, any spiritual teaching, any any path, any coaching, any teaching at all that says that you are not fundamentally worthy of your own love and your own respect and your own complete, unapologetic, unconditional acceptance right here, right now. Meaning there's no conditions. You don't have to lose any weight. You don't have to get the job. You don't have to become the thing. So now, trickier, okay? You don't have to clear any emotions. You don't have to become more spiritual. You don't have to awaken to more information. You don't have to live up to any aspect of your potential. You don't have to feel better than you feel right now. Nothing needs to change for you to be worthy and deserving of your own love in this moment. And any path that's telling you different than that, okay, is the self-improvement path. Now, a part of the reason that most of us get on the self-improvement path and get on the pseudo self-love path is because we're perceiving, I don't feel good, right? I have negative emotions. I have self-sabotaging behaviors. I have anxiety. I have depression. I have racing thoughts. I don't feel like I'm living up to my potential. I have hard relationships. I have suffering. I have drama. I have things that I'm going through, and I want to fix them. I want to feel better. Yes? And so, of course, when we're coming, all of us humans have this. Yeah? Because at the end of the day, we've all accepted. All right? So now, first things to understand, okay? We have all accepted some things about the reality that are not true. And we have accepted things about ourselves that are not true. And that is what is creating our suffering. So we first and foremost have to really wrap our minds around that. Okay? You're not suffering because you're not meeting your potential. You're not suffering because you have anxiety. You're not suffering because you have depression. You're not suffering because you have an eating disorder. You're not suffering because you have self-sabotaging behaviors. Those are all symptoms of a mindset that you have, a perspective that you have that is out of alignment with the truth of reality. So you have to understand that, okay? Really just like, if you can, just, think of your thing. This is the reason I'm not happy, right? This is the thing I want to get rid of. My anxiety, my depression, my debilitating thoughts, my racing thoughts, my inability to do things, my not living up to my potential, my constantly falling into my old habits, my anger, my rage, my mom, my dad, I'm not in the right school. Think of your thing. And then say, no, that is not the reason I'm not happy. I want to blame it on that, but that's not it, okay? The reason that I'm not happy is because I'm believing something about myself and I'm believing something about the reality that is not in alignment with the truth. Now, this is where the self-love path is this massive paradox, okay? So when we're on the self-improvement path, meaning we're trying to get rid of our negative emotions, we're trying to heal or transcend our traumas, we're trying to get rid of our self-sabotaging behaviors, we're trying to lose the weight, we're trying to fix the relationships, we're trying to fix our lives. We're trying to fix ourselves or fix our lives in some sort of way that will make it so that we can love ourselves and we can be happy. We're doing that because we think once we get to that other side, once we get to that goal, once we get to that thing that we've decided is going to be where we're allowed to be happy, we will be happy, right? We believe this. We truly believe it is the goal. It's because we believe the thing in our life that we're experiencing is the cause of our pain. We believe the eradication of this thing is going to be the solution to our pain. Yes? So we're doing this rat race to get rid of this thing that's actually the symptom of what's really going on versus seeing the root of what's really going on. So this is why the self-love path is so different, because we're looking at things at the root. We're not addressing symptoms. And now if you're kind of in the alternative health field or have done some sort of, you're probably going to realize, right? Like we see this in the body. When we have a cold, we don't want to suppress our cough because the cough is expelling mucus. We want to get rid of what the body is trying to get rid of. When you have a fever, you don't want to suppress the fever. The fever is killing the virus. If you suppress the fever, the virus can win out. You see what I'm saying? We don't want to get rid of symptoms. We want to support the body in processing through those symptoms, processing through whatever is in our bodies that our bodies don't like, so that we can move beyond it. We can heal. We can transcend the sickness, essentially, right? It is the exact same thing with all of our other symptoms, okay? We don't want to attack symptom as though symptoms are the problem, okay? And so long as we're doing that, we're never going to see the root cause of why we have the symptom. And therefore, we're always going to have the symptom because the symptom is there for a reason. Your anxiety is there for a reason. Your depression is there for a reason. Your self-sabotaging behaviors are all there for a reason. They're showing you where your belief and reality don't line up. Okay, now when we stay on the self-improvement path, what we are actually doing is saying, nope, I know how reality works. I know who I'm supposed to be before I'm allowed to be lovable. I know what I'm supposed to become. I know how life is supposed to be. And all of these things that are going on, all of my feelings, all of my emotions, all these stuff, this stuff shouldn't be happening. Now that right there is where we fall off the path. Okay? The second you say the self-sabotaging thing shouldn't be happening, you're off the path. This emotion shouldn't be happening, you're off the path. This thought shouldn't be happening, you're off the path. Because when you're on the self-love path, you have finally accepted that everything that is arising is a message for you. It's there for a reason. It's showing you something you're not seeing right now. And this is the big thing about the self-love path. It's about understanding that when you're on the self-improvement path, you are the least humble you could possibly be. You think you're a victim. You think you're working so hard to fix yourself and change yourself and do all these things, but you're not. What you're doing is you're saying, I assume that I know how I'm supposed to be. I assume that I know how reality is supposed to be. All of this is wrong, and I'm going to fix it. That's not humility. That's not being open to learning. Okay, so here's the thing. The paradox of self-love is this. When you're truly on the path, you are going to say, I have anxiety right now, and I am going to choose to love myself and love my anxiety so much that I don't need it to go away. Okay, so if we're using the self-love path, so even if we're using like the emotional mastery series or any of these other things that I've given you as ways of getting rid of your anxiety or getting rid of your self-sabotaging behavior or getting rid of your depression or getting rid of your whatever it is that you have, you're not using it correctly. That's not the path. This is not a self-improvement path. It's literally saying, if I were to have this anxiety for the rest of my life, if I were to have this self-sabotaging behavior for the rest of my life, I could fully and completely love and accept of myself. That's the first step. Okay? Nothing needs to change before I give myself complete permission to unconditionally love myself. And now this is where the wheels fall off for most people. Because they say, I don't want to give myself permission to love myself inside my self-sabotaging behavior or inside these emotions or whatever, because I don't like them. And if I give myself permission to love myself inside of them right now, they're never going to go away. I get that. But we have to understand that this is the paradox. So long as you're fighting with it, so long as you're judging it as wrong, so long as you're judging it, this is the reason I'm not happy, you are never going to see what it is trying to show you. It is just a symptom. So long as you're labeling it as wrong, you'll never learn from it. And what do we know about this school of life? Nothing goes away until you learn what you're here to learn from it. So long as you're judging whatever is going on with you as being wrong and the thing you need to fix before you're allowed to love yourself and before you're allowed to be happy, you will have it forever. I put that flat out. Okay? So long as you're trying to become this person who doesn't have this thing anymore, you will never become that person. Now, here's the paradox. The second you let go of that and you say, okay, right? It's the act as though it is. I made this video, right? How do we know when we use act as though it is versus feeling the feeling? Again, we use act as though it is to anchor in us what it feels like to unconditionally love and accept ourselves. Okay, so we're pretending I have this thing. I no longer have the anxiety. I no longer have the self-sabotaging behaviors. I'm this perfect person that I think I need to become. You imagine that only so that you can feel what it feels like to give yourself that unconditional love. And then you say, that is not the criteria. Right? You say, now I know what it feels like to give myself unconditional love. So I give it to myself inside the thing I'm in right now. I give it to myself inside my self-sabotaging behavior. I give it to myself inside the anxiety. I give it to myself inside the depression. I give it to myself inside this thing that I think is so wrong and so bad about me. That's the first step. You unconditionally love and approve of, so you're having an anxiety attack? Okay. Hello, anxiety. Welcome to the table. I love you. I accept you. You can stay forever. Hello, self-sabotaging behavior. I love you. I accept you. You can stay forever. I'm not going to abandon myself anymore because you're here. This is the key. That's the first thing. Okay? You're here for a reason. And that's the second thing. Okay? We say, I know how to bring love to myself. I stop fighting with myself. I stop fighting with the thing. And I know that is the scariest thing you're ever going to do. Okay? But like I said, we're going to get to the paradox of it. Second thing, we assume that everything is there for a reason. Stop saying, I don't need this anymore, it's not serving me. Yes, it is. If it's still there, it's still serving you. Okay? And not in a like, you got to figure out how it's serving you. No, there's a wound. There's a trauma. And a wound and a trauma is simply just where your version of reality and actual reality split. That's all a wound or a trauma is. There's a wound or a trauma, and so you have a coping mechanism. That's what your anxiety is. That's what your depression is. That's what your self-sabotaging behaviors are. That's what your weight is. That's what's going on with your body. It's the answer to all of this, okay? It is there to let you know where what you believe and what's actually happening are wrong, are two different things. And reality is never going to change for you. You are going to have to align with reality. So now, when we can fully learn to accept and embrace our emotions, like I'm not going into my heart space room to get rid of my anxiety. I'm going there to be with my anxiety, to love it. I don't want it to go away because it's a messenger for me. I don't want my depression to go away. It's a messenger for me. I don't want my self-sabotaging behavior to go away. It's a messenger for me. So I want to go in and I want to feel it. I want to spend time with it. I want to get to know it. I want to know everything it has to tell me because it's not a mistake. It's not wrong. It's the symptom that's going to show me how to align with reality. It is through my self-sabotaging behavior that I'm going to find happiness. It is through my anxiety that I'm going to find the truth. It is through this horrible thing that I think is going wrong that I'm going to realize all the things. Okay? It is all the obstacles that we think are what's wrong with us that we have to get rid of before we can be the person we want to be that are actually there to make you the person you want to be. So when we embrace these things in ourselves, we actually can get the message. We actually can understand, oh, that's what I've been believing. That's not really true, is it? Right? But when we come with this unconditional loving presence of whatever's arising within us, like literally, I am feeling so much pain right now. Okay. I make room for you, pain. Thank you for being here. I want to hear you. I love me. I love me even though I'm in pain. I treat myself with just as much respect even though I'm in pain as I would if I were whatever it is that I think that I need to be, right? We bring that love to ourselves and to the thing, then we will start to learn. So again, if we go in trying to get rid of it, you'll never know. If you go in just getting curious about it, what are you saying? What do you have to show me? I believe you're good. Like literally, that's what it is. I believe my anxiety is good. I believe this depression is good. It's showing me something. It's not an impediment to my path. It's the path. Yes? And when we finally get there, where you can be with your thing and stop labeling it as the thing that's wrong with you and start looking at it as like, no, this is the path. This is the thing that's showing me, right? You treat it like that, all of a sudden your resistance to it goes down 155 million %. And when that happens, you can learn from it. And at the same time, you'll be able to roll with it and be happy and learn to love yourself and learn to start having a good life even before you get rid of the self-sabotaging behavior, even before you get rid of the anxiety. Because it's the resistance and the feeling that it's wrong that makes it so painful. So when you understand this paradox, the more you try and fix yourself, you will never become that person. When you finally let go of trying to become that person and decide you're going to just love who you are right now, you're going to embrace and accept all the things that are occurring for you in this moment, you're going to assume everything is right and everything has a message for you and everything is benevolent, you will become that person. You will change so much and you won't even have to try. This is the thing. So by being on the self-improvement path, you think you're protecting yourself from never becoming that, when in fact you are guaranteeing you will never become that. When you get on the self-love path, you forget about all that, you just start to love yourself right here, right now, and all these things, you'll realize you are already on the path to becoming that person. That's the path. Face your shit. Your shit is the path. Okay? So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them down below. You have to love the thing you're in. Love the thing you loathe. That's how we do this. Okay? because it's going to show you it's the path. It's the path. All right.